Welcome in, I'm Artress, and in this video we're going to be going over Purple Black Luffy and the changes that it has gotten from the starter deck 26 that make this leader really scary in OP11. Over the weekend we had a regional, I believe in Florida, where it was the first regional in North America that had the OP11 meta viable or legal to play with, and Purple Black Luffy actually really performed quite well. I believe out of the top 8, 4 decks were Black Purple Luffy. I could be wrong on that number, but it was a number that I wasn't expecting. And as a result, I wanted to go ahead and highlight this leader for today's video. Even though I was going to plan on doing a different leader, I think that it's a good time to at least talk about this leader while people are still super interested in what it can do. I've also been working on a full guide for Metafy, which is live right now. So if you find this video useful, you're gonna find that guide even more useful, because what it presents in that guide is a full rundown of how you play the leader, tech options, different matchups, a full in-between scope of everything you should know or need to know to play this leader. So it's only $5, so for the cost of a cup of coffee, I'm giving you all this information. So check that out on Metafy. It's live right now. I've been working on it for a little while and super excited to post my first article. But over the course of this video, this is a little bit more of a oversight of the deck itself and a couple of the matchups you'll run into. So hopefully you get some value out of this. If you're new to the channel, please make sure to drop a sub and give the video a thumbs up if you like it or enjoy it or get anything useful out of it. It helps out the channel so much. Thank you all for the support. Additionally, if you'd like to talk about the One Piece card game outside of the YouTube comments, make sure to join the Discord. The link for that is in the description below. Now, enough yapping about all of the plugs and promos and everything like that. Let's go over the deck list, talk about what the leader does. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the leader, he is a 4-life leader in purple and black that says Dawn ×1, your characters have +1 cost. That's actually super important in this meta. And then the second part is your turn. Once per turn, when 2 or more Dawn cards are returned to your Dawn deck from play, set up to 1 of your Dawn deck as active and up to 1 from your Dawn deck as rested. So you are able to use Dawn -2 plays and get that Dawn right back. So really great value overall built into this leader. Typically with this leader, you're going to want to build it more of a control aspect, but with the new starter deck 26, we have some tools in the arsenal which make this leader much more aggressive, and so pivoted the playstyle to fit that overall. Starting off, I'm running 4 of the Searcher Law, very standard. We're running 4 Searchers. We're actually running 8 in total to increase our consistency, but this will be able to find a Heart Pirates or Straw Hat Crew type out of the top 4. It has to be a 2-cost or higher. That's the only downside, because you can't search out your Gum Gum Giant, which is probably one of the most broken cards in the game right now. I'm running 3 Black Maria. This is a great way to ramp up on 3 Dawn if you miss some of your other ramp options. You could run this at 4, but I have it at 3 for now because I have this between a 3-1 split between this 2K Sanji and then the 3 Black Maria. 4 Zoro is what I feel is pretty standard. I see some lists run 3, but I think 4 is what you're going to want to do because of this being a counterless card. I could see you running it at 3, but this is your play that you're going to mulligan for pretty much every game that you are going against. Any opponent, doesn't matter. This is the card you're looking for because it will allow you to ramp up Dawn -2, you ramp up leader ability, and then you get the extra 1 from this Zoro. So this is a perfect card for this deck. Next, I'm running 4 of the 3-cost Zoro from OP09. This allows you to ramp up, and this is a card you're going to want to mulligan for more often than not. It doesn't matter what matchup. This is probably your best play on turn 2. So this is a card you're always going to try to keep if your hand has it. Otherwise, if you don't have a ramp option, you're going to try to mulligan for 1, whether it's the Black Maria, Zoro, or the new Nico Robin, which we have. Next, I'm running 4 Usohachi. This is probably the best purple 2K counter in the game, being able to rest a 5-cost character if you have 8 or more Dawn on the field. So this will allow you to go for lethal on certain turns where maybe a blocker is in your way. So very important there. Next, we're running a new card from starter deck 26, the Nico Robin 2K counter. It's a 3-cost 4,000 power body, and it's the same effect as this Zoro, except this is a Dawn -2, so you have to do the Dawn -2. Whereas this is an optional. You can either do Dawn -1 or Dawn -2 depending on the situation. So these two are basically the same card, except this one has 2K counter. So this one is actually pretty valuable because of the fact that you can use this as a defensive option later on in the game, but if you have it in your opening hand, you can use this to help ramp up. I'm running 2 Bond Clays, and the reason I'm running 2 Bond Clays is because I paid for 2 Bond Clays, so I'm going to keep them in the deck, but I see a lot of decks cutting them for now, and I understand why, but I do like Bond Clay as an additional 1K counter at certain times, and it does present a threat for certain decks because of the fact that maybe somebody doesn't want to play a big body down because the Bond Clay's on your side of the field, and instead they're going to try to remove it, so you can gain some tempo in situations like that. This is a great Dawn ramp on your 2 Dawn turn if you're going second, so that also presents an additional ramp option. We are running in total 13 ramp options, because if we don't hit our ramp in the opening couple of turns, we are so far behind in this deck. And so I want to make sure, I want to guarantee that I can get my ramp. So that's why I'm running so many. Next, I'm running 3 Frankie Blocker. This is a great way to just filter out your hand. Dawn -2, you can pitch a card from your hand and then draw 2 cards. So getting rid of these bricks that you're running to potentially get more bricks, getting counter, hopefully maybe a Gum Gum Giant along the way. I'm running 3 here because what would be the 4th Frankie is instead this 4-cost Blocker Law. In situations where you are hitting your opponent for 7k constantly, they are usually taking enough cards where their hand size is pretty fat. So you want to be able to punish that, and there's not a lot of ways you can punish it in purple and black as of right now that don't require a card to already be on the field. And so Law is a good way to do that. Law being able to on-play Dawn -1, and then if your opponent has 7 or more cards in hand, you get to rip 2 of them randomly, which that random part is really nice because some effects don't have a random discard. They usually have where your opponent has to choose. Like I'm thinking of the 6-cost Gear 4 Luffy. When it attacks, your opponent chooses 1 card from their hand. This one just rips 2 randomly. So sometimes you can snipe out key pieces out of their hand with this card. I'm running 2 of the 6-cost Rush Restand Luffy from EBO2. A lot of decks are running this at 4, but I think if you're playing into that style of play, which is a little bit more of an aggressive style, where you're running 4 of this and then 4 of the starter deck 26 Beer Luffy, you are presenting yourself a really sad time if your opponent's running Electrical Luna, because they can just stun these down. I don't want to invest my entire turn, and I guess savings as well, based off of the card price right now, that for this card specifically, if you are spending your time putting this card on the field and playing it, it can be easily answered at times. So I have it at 2 because I like it as a closer, as a good finisher. If you have it to play earlier, it's a huge threat. Your opponent's going to have to respond to this, but I like it at 2. I see some decks running 4 though, and I don't blame them because this card can just steal games, can take away games from opponents that where you don't have any business winning those games. So I understand why, but for me, it's a 2-off. As I mentioned, I'm running 1 of the Sanji 2k counters. It's a blocker, it's a 2k counter. It's a searchable 2k counter, which is important because the Law can search Straw Hat, and then we have the 1-cost event, which searches Straw Hat as well. So an additional way to find 2k counters outside of the Nico Robin and the Usohachi. Is it necessary? No, but I have the alt art for it, so I'm putting it in the deck. Maybe that's not a great reason to run it. You could run 4 Black Maria if you want to, but I like this as a 3-1 split because I like this card as well. Then I'm running 3 of the 6-cost starter deck 26 Beer or Cheer or whatever you want to call it Luffy. This card is the reason this deck is so powerful right now. It's an on-play and when attacking Dawn -2. If your leader is multicolored and your opponent has 5 or more Dawn cards on their field, your Straw Hat Crew type leader's base power becomes 7,000 until the end of your opponent's next end phase. So this value that you're getting from this card makes your leader 7k for pretty much the rest of the game once it sticks on the field. The important thing here is that it is a 6-cost body with the leader effect giving Dawn ×1, 1 cost to all of your board. It's a 7-cost. And so there's a lot of removal right now that hits 6-cost or below. I'm thinking of 9-cost Lin, I'm thinking of Gravity Blade. And so if you put 1 Dawn underneath your leader, those cards cannot touch this card. It also cannot touch this card either. Of course, this being a 7 or lower does get hit by Luna if it's turned sideways, which sucks because the when attacking then cannot go off the next turn. Something to keep in mind. Now, why am I running 3 instead of 4? I think that this card is amazing and you definitely want to find it, but with the amount of search we have 8 total, we can usually find this off of a search or just draw into it naturally. And once one of them hits the field, you don't necessarily need a second one on the field because the ability does not stack. You don't get plus 2,000 for every time you Dawn -2. That'd be absolutely insanely busted otherwise, and I think that we'd have to have a ban at that point, but it doesn't stack. It just makes your base power 2,000. You want to have one in the field and then maybe one in your hand as like a backup in case that one goes away. But any more than that sometimes becomes a little bit bricky, and as a result, I cut this down to 3. You could run it at 4 easily. Same thing with this 6-cost Luffy. These could be easily 4-ofs, but for the sake of this deck and how I've been operating it, it works at 3 for me. Then I'm running 3 of the 7-cost Rush Sanji on play. You can return 1 or more Dawn on your field, and then this character gains Rush and then rest a 6-cost character or lower. This is great into Buggy because Buggy has the 6-cost Blocker Mihawk, which you can't really rest otherwise, so this Sanji is able to at least bypass that. You can use this to trade into boards like Bello Betty or any kind of aggressive boards like Zoro, so this card's really good as well. You could have it at 4, but I think just because I've made a couple of cuts for the next card, one of the cuts that I made was with this Sanji, and then I think I made a cut with the Luffy as well. And the next card is the 8-cost Katakuri. I think this card is one of the most polarizing cards in OP11 that I don't think a lot of people expected it to be as impactful as it is, because I think a lot of people are just thinking in general about blue-purple Luffy and just how powerful that deck profile is. But with the 8-cost Katakuri being an 8k power body that can block and also swing and restand itself and get you Dawn back at the end of your turn, this is an amazing card for what you're trying to do. I think here, when you're playing this card, you don't feel so uncomfortable minusing your Dawn as much, because you use this ability, Dawn -2, on the Beer Luffy. You can then use things like the Dawn -1 on the Sanji or the Dawn -1 on this 9-cost Luffy, and you can get it back without having to Dawn -2 much every turn when the 8-cost Katakuri is on the field. And you don't feel punished. You have a way to have a blocker that's pretty much sticky. The only way that it's removed is if Hody Jones rests it, or if Red Rock touches it, or something that I'm not thinking of can get rid of it as well. But this card is just so impactful, and when it hits the board, I feel like I win most of my games, if not all of them. Next, I'm running 3 of the 9-cost Rush Luffy. I like this card a lot, and I'm running it at 3 because I want to see it at least once or twice a game, especially against decks like blue-purple Luffy. I think that this being your boss monster is pretty powerful. It swings at a really good number, 10k into 6k, when you're going against like blue-purple Luffy and green-purple Luffy as well. So this card is very powerful for that, and having some bigger bodies is really good as well for this deck. I'm running 4 of the 1-cost Search Event, being able to look at the top 3 and grab a Straw Hat Crew, Kid Pirate, or Heart Pirate type. So it grabs mostly everything in the deck, minus a couple things like the Bond Clay, the Black Maria, and the Katakuri. This is really important to note that this also grabs Gum Gum Giant. There's no stipulation as far as the cost of what you can grab, so this will be able to search the Gum Gum Giant out, which this card, Dawn -2, trash 1 card from your hand and plus 4,000 power on defense, and then you draw 2 cards. So you're going net neutral with this card, getting plus 4,000 in defensive capability power, and then refreshing your hand. This is why this card is just so busted, because of all of the text included in it. It only applies to Straw Hat Crew leaders, of course, but I mean, look at the top like meta right now. It's like all Straw Hat Crew leaders because of this card. So absolutely insane for what it does, and of course we're going to run it at 4 of. And then finally, I'm running 2 Gum Gum Lightnings. Now this one has been swapped in and out for a couple of other cards. I go over the cards you can tech it in for, or some of the things in the Metafly article, but this is a Dawn -2 KO up to one of your opponent's power 6,000 or less characters. This hits quite a lot of things, but mostly you're going to use it to get rid of chump blockers and maybe some threats like Cavendish if you're going against Bonnie, which that's a nightmare matchup. So anything you can do to get Cavendish off the field is definitely worth it. The trigger is also nice, being able to ramp up for free if it comes out of life. So I will take that every time. Well, mostly every time. I like to be able to ramp if I need to, but Gum Gum Lightning is a really good card, but you can replace it with other cards as well. Now there's cards that I haven't included in this deck list, and there's options that you can include instead. And as I mentioned, you can go over all of that in the Metafly article. So check that out if you're interested. With that all being said, I am super excited about this deck. I haven't been excited about a certain leader for quite some time, other than, you know, my Dressrosa Cope when it's either Rebecca or Usopp. So Black Purple Luffy is one that I'm incredibly excited to play. I've been piloting it, I've been testing it out, and I've been going over as many iterations as possible with this leader. There's quite a lot of interesting things you can build, and how you can like make your deck slightly different than other people's and still have a very high functioning deck overall. Very cool to see. But that being said, I think this list is probably my favorite right now, and it will change as the meta evolves as well. But in the meantime, let's take it into the sim and see how it does. According to SimStats, Shanks is a really rough matchup, but I actually find this matchup a little bit easier than normal. This is a really good hand to keep, so we're going to go ahead and get the search off and grab the Zoro so that we can go ahead and get that ramp off the next turn. They are going more of a control variant here, which is very scary with the red force. We'll go ahead and just ramp up and then swing 7 into lead. Usually they'll go ahead and just like use their leader ability and give us 2k. They're going to try to stay as healthy as possible for as long as possible, so that by the time they get to 10 Dawn, they can safely drop down their 10 cost Rush or even KO Shanks. So we have to like pressure them as much as possible. Here, ideal would be Lucky Roo for them. It appears that's the case. Yeah, they were swinging 5, so I figured a Lucky Roo was coming down. Here, I think I just want to ramp up as much as possible, so I'm going to bait out the block with the 6k swing. They take it, they KO the Zoro. I'm going to go ahead and play out the Nico Robin, and then I'm just going to swing... I just swing 7 into lead, see if they give me any more cards here, because they didn't use their leader ability. I want them to be as starved from their hand as possible. Instead of swinging 9 and guaranteeing pretty much a hit, I'm swinging for 7 because I want them to toss that 2k counter, which it worked. And this next turn, we're going to be able to swing in with a Luffy, which is really powerful, and getting a 6-cost Luffy off the top is really nice. So let's go ahead and just swing in for 6 with our leader, and then 10 with the 9-cost Luffy. Now, if I were them, I might just counter out of this first one and then block the 10k swing with the Lucky Roo and pop the Nico Robin. But to be honest, I'm not really ever going to be swinging with the Nico Robin anyway, so I'm not really too concerned by that play. But I would figure in the case of the Shanks player, that's probably their optimal play, which it appears that's what they're probably going to do unless they take this hit. So, okay, they blocked it. They did exactly what I thought they would. And we have some turns set up for the next couple of plays that we can actually do some good stuff here. We have the option of playing the 9-cost Rush Luffy, so putting a second big body on the field. We have the option of putting an 8-cost Katakuri down. We also have the Beer Luffy as well to be able to pump our leader up to 7k, which could be an important thing to do in the next turn. I don't think we're playing the blocker law at all. There's not a reason to play it because we can just play the Katakuri instead and use that for counter. This turn, they are on 8. Oh God, they're swinging where? 10 into 5. Okay, so they're just trying to put me down to 1. Because they're at 5 life, I'm at 1. Pretty insane here. I don't want to take another hit this next turn, so what I'm going to end up doing is going to just go ahead and establish the Katakuri after I'm using the Gum Gum Lightning to get rid of the Hongo. Hongo's a pain in the butt, so we want to try to get rid of it. So we're going to swing 6 in the lead. Do they counter out of this one? They take. Okay, so they're going to start taking hits now because they're about to play down, I'm assuming, a 10-cost Shanks of some sort. That might also be a reason to play out the 9-cost Luffy, so we have 2 of them on the field, but I think putting a blocker out is probably a little bit of a better option. So let's go ahead and do that. Here they are going to, like I said, probably play out a 10-cost. I think the worst one for us is probably the Rush one because it will immediately get value and makes it very difficult for us to like figure out where we should counter out. But as aggressively as they've been towards our life, I think they're probably just going to try to close out the game where they can. And going to 0 is very scary. Oh, it is the Rush Shanks. Okay, let's see where they go. 12 into 5. Smart. I think I would do the same. I think I would just pressure my face. We're just going to block the leader swing. They might have, if they wanted to, really just put out the leader swing first, but it is what it is. Here, I think I'm just going to swing 8 into lead. See what they do. See if they give us a leader ability plus 2 and a 1. We could pivot into swinging into the Shanks as well, but I don't think that's a smart play. I think we want to leave 1 open for Gum Gum Giant no matter what. And maybe even 2 for Gum Gum Giant in case we have to chain them. My worst fear right now is that they play out the Roger. So because they use our leader ability and gave us a 0-cost event, they are countering hard. We're just going to swing baselines here, 7 and 9. No reason to put any more Dawn on. Now, I could use the Law to search out some other things, but I think instead I'm just going to leave them in hand so I have 1k counters. So if they decide to play out a Roger, I think we're actually pretty okay because of the fact that we're buffed up by 2,000 power. If they have a way to remove the Katakuri or bypass it, that's also something to keep in mind. They're using the Red Force and the Katakuri to get it down to 6. This could be a Beckman or a Rayleigh play to get rid of it, and then they could put the rest on, either swing 14 or 15 at leader. So it is a Rayleigh. That's pretty good to be able to reduce. I would assume they're going to reduce the Luffy. Yeah, Luffy and the Katakuri, popping the Katakuri. And this might just be a 14k at lead, and we should be able to counter out of that no problem. We'll go ahead and use the Gum Gum Giant, and then 2 2ks here. It might have been better to use that 1-cost Law to get rid of like these bricks that we have in hand, but I think it's fine. So here we actually can just push for lethal. They have 4 cards in hand. I'm going to go ahead and play out this Luffy, and then swing 7 into lead, which we're going to swing for a bunch of 7s here, and considering how many cards they have in hand, these should connect pretty easily. The only way that we really don't win here, or if we fumble, is if they have like a Red Hawk in life, or maybe a 0-cost event could be a problem as well. They use their leader ability, pitch a 2k to get out of that. We're just going to swing baseline 7s, 7 at lead, 7 at lead, and then we're going to swing 7 with our leader into their leader, and then we can use the restand Luffy to swing another, I guess, 8-8. So let's go ahead and just swing the 8, see what they do here. I mean, no matter what, it's game over, but we'll probably just do it properly. 7, they'd have to give us a 2 and a 1, and then they'd be empty-handed. Yeah, they played it very well for what they had. It was very scary for a second. I understand why maybe this matchup's a little bit closer than usual, but I think we should be able to pull it ahead if we are able to play out the Beer Luffy maybe a little bit earlier, but the 9-cost definitely put a lot of pressure on. Buggy is a matchup that I'm actually pretty confident in as well. I think it's kind of a 50-50, but I think because we've taken first and we have a pretty okay hand, Nico Robin's a good pickup there. We're able to ramp up with the Black Maria or the Nico Robin, depending on what they have. But I think Black Maria probably is going to get us more value overall because they just picked out the promo Buggy, which will stop our 3 or 4 cost characters from attacking, meaning that if we play the Nico Robin down, it's never going to attack. And so we might as well... Oh, actually, This Zoro is actually pretty tempting as well. Black Maria might be... this is rough. I think this is a misplay, but I'm going to go ahead and do this instead. I'm going to swing 5, and then I'm going to play the Black Maria. I think this is a misplay because I could just play the Zoro down and then swing with it the next turn because they can't get the Buggy, the 7-cost Buggy out this early. And so at least I'm guaranteed a swing with that. But Black Maria is a fine option as well. I suppose if we want a hyper ramp, we could play out the Zoro, but we're never swinging with it after that. Because if they see this 3-cost Zoro come down, they're just going to end up playing their promo Buggy, and then it just sits there for the rest of the time. But it's always really useful to ramp up to 9 rather quickly, especially if we can get a 9-cost rush Luffy down. So that's something that we're going to hope to draw into in the next turn or two, but maybe our life or the draw will determine what we play instead. All right, they're just going to swing 5 into lead here, and the Katakuri is a pretty good card to see. I would imagine they might play just a 4-cost character, whether it's a blocker or maybe they have the 4-cost Buggy. It is a 4-cost Moji, which is just a blocker that will draw them a card if they're 3 at less. Let's go ahead, and because we drew into the 9-cost Luffy, play out the Zoro, and I think I'm just going to swing 6 with our lead first, and then I'll swing 6 with the 1-cost Law. I don't want to swing really big into them because they'll just either block it or they'll just take it. So let's see if we can get cards out of hand. I think a couple of 6s is kind of annoying for them to have to deal with. Now, typically, I would take one of these hits if I were Buggy, but I think it looks like they're thinking about countering out of both, which, here's the thing. With Buggy, you kind of want to take some life so that you have cards in hand so you can use your leader ability more comfortably without going too low in hand size, but also countering out does kind of work well with Moji because then you can hit that 3-card threshold and then block and then get that extra card draw off of it. So there's reasoning to counter out there. There's also reasoning just to take life. I think I'm a little bit more in the lane of taking the life to get cards out of hand. They do play out the 7-cost Buggy to probably bring out, okay, Mihawk. That's their best target there, of course. Pretty good. And then here, if I were them, I mean, they could clear the Law. It's not going to be a huge threat, and I'm probably not going to swing with it too much from here on out, but there's always a world where I could swing with it. So they might want to swing 5 into it, but I would prefer them to swing into my face so I can get an extra card off of this. Because my next turn here is going to be the 9-cost Luffy, and I'm a little bit worried because, to be honest, they could answer. They might be able to answer the Luffy. They're going to be on what? 8 Dawn? Can they answer it? Actually, they can't answer it quite yet. I was thinking if they're on 9 Dawn, they can because they can play a 4-cost and then use leader ability to play out a 10-cost Buggy. But they won't be able to answer it next turn, so it will be able to sit on the field for a single turn, which is nice. And then here, I'm just going to play with the Luffy and then use the ability to ramp up 2, but I want to leave 1 open because in a world where they decide to try to swing really big at the Luffy, which I doubt they will, but in case, we have a Gum Gum Giant as a backup plan. So here they're just going to consider countering out. I think they just take it. Yeah, they just take that hit for most time. You could also just block with the Mihawk, but they might be expecting this Luffy. So that's smart of them to go ahead and take the hit. I think they just take this one as well. They could also block. I mean, that's fine. But if I were them, I'd probably just take it, go down to 2, and then have a board full of 5k bodies. So it's a lot easier for them to hit that threshold of getting the 10-cost Buggy on the field and sticking as well. But they're going to 8 Dawn here, and they could swing pretty big with their Buggy. They could also just swing like with, I don't think they ever swing with any of the other bodies, but they could swing like 7, 9, and then play out another couple of cards from their leader ability, probably like the Mihawk and Crocodile 8-cost. They have a few options, point being. All right, so they're going to use their leader ability to pitch a Crocodile and Mihawk, the new one from the starter deck, to play one out, and that's a really good play here. They'll be able to draw 2, trash 1, and then play out a 4-cost. They pitch the Mihawk, they play out another Moji blocker, and now, oh gosh, following it up with Pilaf, that's actually a really solid play here. We're in an interesting spot. So they will definitely use the 10-cost the next turn. So I think I need to pressure them pretty hard this turn. I don't think 8-cost Katakuri is going to be good enough to pressure them. I think that the time to play 8-cost Katakuri is a little bit gone. So what we're going to do is we're going to swing 6 with lead and see if we can bait out the Mihawk, because if we can get one of these bodies to turn sideways, I think I can start jamming into it and get cards out of hand or get bodies off the field, making it harder for the 10-cost to stick. They take it, which I don't want them to take it. I don't want them to take any of these. I want them to block. Perfect. They blocked that one. They can still get the 10-cost out next turn anyway. I could play this Katakuri, but I think what would be better is, I think, just applying the pressure with this Luffy, going down to 1 life and maybe putting a weird position on the field where they could potentially push lethal if they really think they have it, which I have giant, so they really don't have it. Just drawing into another 2k off of that was insane. So yeah, they definitely don't have it if they try to go for it, but you never know. They might think they do. They could also run pudding, but I think some decks have started cutting that, thankfully. I think they don't need to. I think they should probably include it in the deck, but yeah. Here they can just block and give me a 2k. To keep the Mihawk on the field. I think that's probably what they should do. They could also go to 0 if they want to really push for a lethal, but yeah, blocking 2k makes the most sense. And I'm fully expecting my hand to go away this turn. I have 9 cards in hand. This is like the most puddingable hand in the world. If they want to hit me with pudding, they might just win. I could just auto concede at that point. I'm not going to actually, but it's like, this is pretty much a guaranteed, like, if you have a pudding, you play the pudding right now. I don't care if you have the 10 drop, you play the pudding, you get 4 cards out of my hand, and then you pressure my face. So that's probably... Maybe they feel threatened with the 6-cost Luffy on the field as well. Who knows? We'll see what their play is. Oh my god, they put Dawn onto the Crocodile. They're swinging 10 into 5. Can we bait them to go all in if we take this? We definitely can, I think, right? They might just put all of the rest on Mihawk. I don't think they should have done this. I think they could have probably played for another turn. We'll have to see what's in their hand, but... depending on what they have in hand, I feel like they could have maybe lasted 1 more turn, especially if they have the 10-cost Buggy. We're going to go ahead and just play the Giant, draw 2k, and then another 2k here, and then they have leader swing, but we can just give them the Frankie for the leader swing. And then because they did this, we can just go all in with the 6-cost Luffy. Oh, yeah, they definitely had a play where they could have lasted maybe 1 more turn. They could have used leader ability twice, played out the 6-cost Mihawk, and then drawn to... trash 1, and then play the 10-cost Buggy and get rid of either the restand Luffy or the 9-cost Luffy. The next 2 cards are going to be Alvida Crocodile, so they could use the Mihawk ability to pitch the 8-cost Crocodile, and then their last life was a peel-off, so that would draw them into a 1k. Yeah, they had potential, but I think they just got a little bit impatient there. I guess I would be scared too. All right, against GP Luffy, this matchup is actually really difficult for us. I like this hand. They chose to go second, which is good for them, good for us, I guess, because we want to go first. We're going to grab the Zoro to keep the Nico Robin in hand. I think we just swing 5 first and see if they take it, see if they counter out. You can kind of gauge what kind of player they are. They take it, of course, because why would they not? And they get a Gamma Knife trigger. Oh my god, they're going to be on 5 Dawn next turn, which means they could potentially play Sanji and Pudding. Anyway, we're going to play the 1-cost event, grab a 2k here, because we need to get as many counter in hand as possible, because they have definitely hit the nuts out of life there. Sanji and Pudding, as to be expected. Oh boy. Here they might just swing all in. That's fine. We'll take the first hit. We usually take the first 2 anyway. Go ahead and play the Beer Luffy out. Use the ability. We don't get the buff, but we get the 1 Dawn back. We'll swing 6 into 6, see if they take it. Of course, why would they not ever take that? They want as many cards in hand as possible, which is one of the reasons why this matchup is a bit difficult, because we can hit their life as much as we want, and they're going to take it, and then we can't punish their hand size. The other reason this matchup is difficult is because they run things like Luna, and all of our 6-cost, which are 7-cost because of the buff that we have off of our leader, can get rested down. I think we just counter out of this one because they are definitely going to hit us with the Sanji and Pudding. Use the stage to buff the Sanji and Pudding. Not that I'm running the Zoro anyway, or the Sanji, the 5-cost, but it's smart for them to do that. Here, I think we have to play the 7-cost Sanji and rest the Zoro Juro. We'll swing this Luffy into it as 7 into 6, kind of awkward, so they might give us a 2k, but they might let it go. They let it go. I think that's fine. That's good. We want the body off the field. Let's swing 6 in the lead, see if they give us a counter. Okay, they give us a counter. Let's swing 7 into the Sanji and Pudding. We're going to have to play like a war of attrition and get as many cards out of their hand as possible because this is the best way to do it. And they dropped a lot of cards that turn. So we love to see that. They do have the bodies on the field, of course, which is kind of a pain, but I think we can probably respond to them this next turn if we are able to at least get these bodies turned sideways, swing into them for decent numbers, and just really kind of hassle them for what it is. 9 into lead. Oh, wow. Okay, so at least we get a trigger off of this. I think getting a 2k here is our best bet. Another Sanji could be good. I think Sanji could be good because we don't have any threats in our hand right now. We already have a couple of 2ks anyway, so I think the Sanji is going to be a pretty good card here. Maybe we could rest the Frankie and swing into it. I don't really care about the Frankie too much. I want to get the Sanji and Pudding and the Zoro Juro off the field. So that's the most important thing here. Now, they could divide their Dawn equally. They're not. They're just going to go 7 into lead. I'm going to counter out of this one with the Bond Clay because we don't need it in this matchup. And then they just go 10 into the Beer Luffy. Okay, we're going to give them 2 2Ks because we need this on the field. It's very important for us. Let's go 6 into 6, see if they give it. They give it. Love to see it. We're going to go 7 into 7. Then we're going to go 7, rest the Frankie down. They have 3 cards in hand, so we've done a great job at reducing their hand size here. 7 into another 7. They let it go. And I think we can just go 7 into 4. We might not even need to swing that, to be honest. Then we'll go 8 into 6. Pretty solid number here. And now we've taken the board back. Of course, they have the restand Luffy as like their final piece. They've played it very well. I'll give that to them, but I think we're able to at least survive this because we are 7k leader, so we can at least counter out of this one with a 1k. And then the most they can do is like 9-9. But I don't think they want to go down to 0 life either. I mean, I guess they kind of have to go push game, but 10 into 7 is just gonna, we'll take it because they don't have lethal here. And then what we can end up doing is just hit him for a bunch of 8s. That's gonna be our best bet here. 8 into 6, they take, we'll go another 8 into 6, and it's pretty much over at this point. We can use our Beer Luffy to go 8 and then reduce their minus the Dawn off of this, off the 2 Sanjis we swung. Do have 0 cost event, and then we'll go another 8 here, and yeah, they didn't have it. We played it very well. We played like the War of Attrition to kind of like beat their bodies on the field as much as possible, get the hand size as low as we possibly could. 4 cost Law is actually pretty good in this matchup, but we didn't see it. We just had to like get the cards out of hand other ways. Ooh, yes, finally, we're able to find a blue-purple Luffy matchup. I've been wanting to at least go against this and see how the deck does. I've played it off stream or off video, but it's, for me, one of my favorite matchups because you can just like really dominate if you find the right pieces. Here we do have at least a pretty solid start where we can go back-to-back 3-cost Zoros and get to 9 Dawn on turn 4, I believe, and then put out a 9-cost Rush Luffy, swinging 10 into 6 every turn. Is going to be very hard for them to come back from unless they have a Red Rock to immediately answer it the following turn. Hopefully they don't. But this turn, I think, decides how we set up our following turns. If they throw down a 3-cost Zoro Juro, I think we actually, okay, they did. I think we have to answer it with the lightning. If they put down a Bond Clay, I would be less imposed or inclined to do that, rather. I think that, you know, we have to answer the Zoro Juro to stop them from ramping up. So let's go ahead and lightning. I would rather play another Zoro and ramp up naturally. I can't do that. So we'll go ahead and just play it and do the Dawn -1 to get the 1 back standing. Let's swing 6 into lead first with the body we have, just in case they have a trigger in life, like a Gravity Blade or a Red Rock to bottom deck. So we don't want to swing leader first, and then we can swing 7 with lead after this, so that's pretty good. The next turn, going to be kind of awkward because we don't really have enough Dawn to play around with. We could establish the Katakuri, which I think is going to be the play we do, but we can't swing with any of the bodies on the field. Hopefully they decide to swing into the 3-cost Zoro and just get it off the field because, to be honest, like this has done its job. It ramped up, it swung in, and it's soaking up an attack. We're probably not going to defend it unless it requires like maybe 1 card, but I don't know if it's really worth dropping a 2k, our only 2k, to protect it. And considering they just played a Bond Clay, they have 3 Dawn to work with. They could swing 8 or 9 into it, and I'm not going to protect that. Yeah, we're just going to let it go. Here's where it's really awkward, because I can't swing with any of the units if I want to play the Katakuri, and the Katakuri is such a good card against blue-purple Luffy as well. So let's go ahead and just play it down and then pass the turn. I don't really like that play, but it's like the optimal play for what we had in hand, as opposed to like playing a Bond Clay and playing a Frankie and pitching our hand to get something better. I think it's just good to throw out the 8-cost Katakuri instead. That means they could swing with the Bond Clay, and if they do, that's good for us. They do play a 9-cost Linlin because they haven't been able to use their leader ability quite yet because they started the turn at 7. So that's good for us that they haven't used their leader ability just yet, but they probably are going to use this ability to put the Zoro. Pitching a 9-cost Sanji is interesting. Might mean they have extras in hand there, but yeah, they'll put the Zoro at the bottom of life, and then they're going to swing 6 into lead here. I'm just going to block with the Katakuri, and then force them to swing with this Bond Clay if they want to. Hopefully they swing at face, but they might swing at the blocker, and that's kind of annoying. Yeah, that's super annoying. I'll just give them a Bond Clay of my own. And this next turn, we're actually in a pretty good spot, because we can swing... I'll just swing 5 into the Bond Clay. There's no reason to put a Dawn underneath our leader because they can't really answer anything on the board anyway with just like Linlin, or if they're running 9-cost Mihawk, they can't answer that. Let's just swing 8 into 6, see what they do, see if they take this. And then we'll go ahead and play out this Luffy, use the Dawn -2, gain 1 back, and then swing 10 into lead. And we'll leave 2 open for no reason whatsoever. We'll at least pretend like we have 2 giants. I would never use 2 giants in this position unless they're going really hard at the 9-cost Luffy, but we'll see what they do. This is a really interesting spot for them to be in because they can start using their leader ability now, and if they do, they might start putting out like spamming Sanjis onto the field. But also my board is really annoying for them to deal with. 8-cost Katakuri, 9-cost Rush Luffy. I don't think they want to deal with this at all, to be honest. So I think it puts them in a really compromising spot. They do grab a 2K Sanji blocker, which is fine. Yeah, more protection for them. Good. I don't really think that's going to be a problem for us to deal with. We'll have to see what play they have this turn, though, because I think this play determines kind of like how we operate the next couple of turns, I think. I think they want to like maybe bait out the Katakuri, like swing 6 into lead, and they just don't even do that. Okay. They just play a Nami. So they don't have a Sanji play. This is actually a really weak turn for them, considering they got their leader ability off the previous turn, and they had a Sanji in hand. So I wonder why. Maybe they feel it's better to block her up here based off of what they have in hand. Maybe they're trying to set up like subsequent turns. 12 into 10 is really awkward here. They could just go 2 into 1. And they could swing 6 with lead. And I actually want to take this one because I just dropped 2 cards. I don't think blocking with the Katakuri is really smart. I think if they're going to give me a card, just give me a card. Yeah, we'll take it. I don't care. Oh, another 9-cost Luffy's good. Ooh, they're at 8 cards in hand. Let's swing Katakuri first. I kind of want to use this law over the 9-cost Luffy. I want to see it in action. I haven't been able to use it yet. In theory, I've had it like in some good spots, but unlucky timing, and I think now is a really good time to use it. So let's go ahead and do it because they dropped 1 card. They're at 7. What did we get out of their hand? We got a Red Rock and a Giant out of hand. Oh my god, that's beautiful. Swinging 10 with lead first might be a little bit of a misplay because we could just swing 10 with our Luffy first, but it doesn't matter. We're going to swing 10 twice anyway. So let's see what we can get out of hand. Getting a Giant and a Red Rock feels so good. This law was actually so good this turn. But I think in any normal situation, like if I was in a tournament, I don't know if I'd play the law right there. I'd probably play the other 9-cost Luffy to get an additional big body on the field. So now they have to deal with 3 big bodies overall. I think that's probably the better play. Anyway, they go and they counter out with a Giant and assuming a 1K, okay? And then I think it's probably just better to hit face 10 into 6, put them to 0. They could either block her up or use the blocker with the Nami to stay at 1, or if we swung like 11 into the Lin, they could counter out even more, but they might just like block and they'd still be at 1 life. So I think putting him to 0 is more pressure and better for us overall. Another 2K Sanji. I wonder if they put that there with the Nami and they're just grabbing it back. I don't know. I doubt it. I doubt it. But here they need to start healing or at least block her up a little bit more. Otherwise they're going to be in some trouble. And this law sitting on the field is pretty good because now we have extra protection against if they have any shenanigans they want to throw down. Like if they swing 6 with lead, we can block it with the Katakuri. And then if they swing Lin, oh, Sanji into Mihawk. Okay. If they had this the previous turn, I'd be in a really interesting spot because I have to deal with a bunch of bodies all at once. But hey, that's one way to get rid of it, I suppose. We'll take the 6 because I don't want to have to counter out of the Lin attack. And I actually am going to take the Lin attack as well and go down to 1. Now, this next turn, we actually have a couple of plays. We could go and play the 7-cost Sanji and rest the Nami, or we could play Usohachi and rest the Nami. And I think the better option here is to play the Usohachi, so we'll have more Dawn to be able to play with to kind of go for lethal. So let's go ahead and rest the Nami, swing 6 in a lead, get 1 card out of hand, 1 Dawn, 1 card. And then here, we can swing 10 into lead with the Luffy. And this will likely be a counter event, probably a Gum Gum Giant, and a 1K, or it could be a Gear 2 and a 2K. Is it Gear 2, 2K? Yeah, Gear 2, 2K. And then we can just put the rest on Katakuri at that point, and it's a Gear 2, 2K. Wow, okay, so that's really good for us. We'll just put the rest on Katakuri and call it a day. But this is ideally what we could do is just play a bunch of big bodies. They did have a whiff kind of on their 9 or I guess their 8 Dawn turn where they could have started comboing with the Sanji. Instead, they played a little bit more defensively with the Nami, and that felt like a weaker turn overall. If they had established 2 big bodies instead, I think they would have been in a better position, but would that have won them the game? I don't think so. The new purple Katakuri, I am not really threatened by this leader, to be quite honest, so this might be a good way to show off what this deck can do. We have what I find is my perfect curve here, a 3-cost Zoro into the 6-cost Luffy into the 8-cost Katakuri. If you can find that in most games, I think you're probably going to win. So let's go ahead and just play the Zoro, ramp up, swing 7 into lead. The reason I'm not really worried about this leader is because they don't have too much removal, and I think that once we hit 7K threshold as a leader, it's just kind of hard for them to like overcome that. Their leader ability, being able to buff up their leader by 1K every turn is fine. This pudding is really good in their deck because they don't actually minus any Dawn when they are using their leader ability. So they'll be swinging in for 7 here. We'll take it. No problem. We unfortunately got a brick out of here. We're looking at a couple of bricks, and oh god, we have so many bricks in hand. This is like really unfortunate. Okay, so what we're gonna end up doing is swinging 5 with our Zoro. We'll go ahead and play out this Luffy, get the Luffy ability online the next turn, but this turn we'll at least get the Dawn back. So we're paying 5 Dawn for a 7k body, getting the 1 Dawn back, and swinging in for 6. So good value overall. We won't be able to unfortunately get our buff because they are at 4 Dawn right now. It is what it is. We'll go ahead and swing 6, and I imagine they'll take this one. They block. That's fine. Blocking or taking is fine. I think the next turn is where it becomes really difficult for them because they're going to have a barrage of 7s coming their way, or a couple of 7s at least, for the rest of the game, until or if they can remove Luffy. But I don't think they run too much removal overall. This Parasparrow is kind of annoying. It allows them to ramp up by pitching a card from hand and looking at the top of my deck and calling the correct number, which they're doing right now to see what's at the top of my deck. 6 cost restand Luffy, another brick, but a good one to have in hand. They'll, like I said, they're looking at the top of the deck. They saw it when they swung with their leader, and now they're probably going to use the Parasparrow ability to pitch a card from hand and then ramp one up. So pretty good card. I think that's a really strong engine for this deck. And as you can see, we've seen our, I guess, our perfect curve, and they're seeing their perfect curve as well. 3 cost pudding into the 5 cost Parasparrow. I imagine the next turn they're probably going to play a cost blocker Katakuri, but we're going to play one first. And then we're going to swing 5 into lead. I don't know why they had 1 Dawn open. Is there something that they can do to rest the Luffy or do something to mess with the Luffy? I hope not. But I think swinging the Zoro first before playing the Katakuri is better anyway. It's the same thing, but you know, practicality. We'll swing 7 into lead, use the Luffy ability to Dawn -2. We'll get that Dawn right back and one of them standing. And because I don't have a giant, I might as well just put the one underneath the Luffy. I mean, there is a world where I could bluff using giant, but I would never use giant this early with only 8 Dawn on the field. I think I'd only use giant going into like 10 Dawn turns at that point. So I think it's better just to put the Dawn underneath the Luffy in case they have something that gets rid of a 6 cost. I think there's like a Conquest of the Seas event that some Big Mom Pirates decks run, like Pudding runs it, to be able to answer 6 cost bodies. So maybe protecting that is better here. And they did counter out with 2 2Ks. Pretty nice to see. They're at 4 in hand. They don't have a lot of card draw on this deck. As I said, this is a good showing of kind of like what our deck can do when it's unchecked, because I think the power level of our deck just like is so much better than theirs. And if we lose this one, it's going to be embarrassing. But yeah, anyway, they play the 8 cost Katakuri of their own. Kind of an annoying card for us to get past, but it's fine. We'll get past it easily enough. And then they're going to have to swing 7. We could block this one. I think we could just block this one with the Katakuri. I don't see a reason why not, because if they decide to swing Parasparrow, use the Parasparrow ability to get 1 Dawn back, they'll swing 8 into something, and if they swing 8 into the Zoro, we're fine with it. If they swing 8 into the Beer Luffy, we could counter out. If they swing 8 into lead, I think we just take it. They are run. Okay, so Hakai Ocean Sovereignty, that's the 6 cost event, Dawn -2, KO, 2 6 cost characters. So good thing we put a Dawn underneath the leader here. 8 into 7, we'll take that one. No problem. We are at 1 life, and if they have the 10 cost rush Big Mom the next turn, that's scary, not gonna lie, but I think we are going to be okay. What we can end up doing is swing 5 first. We're just gonna poke him down, maybe see if we can bait out this Katakuri blocker. But I think a good Katakuri player will not take the bait. I think they'll probably just counter out of some of these hits, use their leader ability for the first one, because you can use it on attack and then also when the opponent attacks. So it's both an offensive and defensive ability. So pretty nice flexibility there. We'll go ahead and play out the 9 cost Luffy, -1 Dawn instead of 2. And then we will swing in with this Beer Luffy to use the ability to Dawn -2 so we can get some Dawn back and then buff our leader at the same time. And then here on out, we'll be swinging with 8s minimum. So 8 with the Katakuri. We have the option of swinging 9 with our leader or 8, 11, but I think it's better just to swing 8, 10 and then leave 1 open for a bluff, because at this point, even though I don't have the giant in hand, there's always a possibility that the last card in life is a giant. Since we are running 4 of them, it's not out of the realm of possibility, so I think what we'll do is we'll just leave 1 open here. They use this, we're going to claim the One Piece. It's the equivalent of when you're at sea, you fight pirates, except it's much better. You can search the top 5. instead of the top 3. So I wish that the 1-cost event for this deck was like that, but it is what it is. I guess it'd be a little bit too powerful. Anyway, 8 into 5. Will they take this one? They'll just counter out 2-2. I think they over-countered there, 2-2-1. Not that it really mattered because the cards they countered out with weren't going to be impactful anyway. They need to have the 10-cost Big Mom to kind of like have any shot to win right now, but even then, it's pretty far. It's a pretty far shot for them to have. I think they kind of just either have to have the 10-cost Big Mom and hope that the 7, 8, 9 gets through, or maybe put Dawn on the characters they have. It looks like they're putting Dawn on the characters they have. Okay. That's not gonna. It's not gonna work. I'm sorry. It's not gonna work. No matter what you do, it's not gonna work. But a good, valiant effort regardless. We'll counter out with a 2K here. If they swing big with this Paro Sparrow, I think we might just take it. Yeah, 10 into 7, we'll take it. We get the trigger to grab a brick. All right, I mean, it didn't matter. It's fine. We have counter anyway. It's okay. But that would have been good if we got a Gum Gum Giant off of this 1-cost event. It is what it is. And they'll swing 8 here. I think the missequencing of swings is... It is what it is. Like 8 into 7, I have a 2K. If they went like 7, 8, 9, 10, that would have been probably a better sequence of swings, but I still would have enough to survive here no matter what. So... yeah, they decide to, I mean, they can't really use the Paraspero ability because they're at 10 Dawn anyway. They don't get the 1 rested or 1 standing. I guess they're just doing it for optics. And then 9 into lead here. We could just block and give them a 2K. We could also just give them a 2K, 1K, but the optimal play is block 2K. And then, yeah, we have it on the crackback. They didn't have the 10-cost Big Mom. Not that it would have mattered because we had enough counter anyway. Green-Yellow Law is a matchup that I feel like we're somewhat favored into. I think that it is a little bit of a tricky matchup, though, because of a few reasons. They do have Hody Jones in the deck list, so if they're going for lethal, you have to keep that in mind, that your Katakuri blocker or your Gum Gum Giants could be turned off because of the Hody Jones. But if you play around it correctly, you should be fine. We'll go ahead and play out the Law Searcher to grab a Usohachi. This hand is fine anyway because of the fact that we have a ramp piece. We have an interaction piece with the lightning. Unfortunately, they do run things like the 2-cost Blocker Beige, which can prevent the lightning from being super effective. But if they throw a Cavendish onto the field at some point, having a lightning in hand is pretty nice if we are able to at least remove it. They do have the Cavendish to put on the top of their life. They'll just swing 5 into 5. I'll take this one. I don't want to give them a 2K. I, in fact, want more cards in hand. Thank you very much. And then here, if we drop Zoro, a 3-cost Zoro, then we're fine. But otherwise, we could play Black Maria or the 3-cost Nico Robin. This Nico Robin's probably better because we can swing 5 and 5. Like, we can swing 5 with our leader. I just want to poke them and get this Cavendish off the top of their life. If they want the Cavendish to be played the next turn, they're going to counter out. They counter it out. Okay, we'll swing 5 with the Law, and they might counter out of this one based off of them countering out of the first one. They might really want this Cavendish on the field, which is fine, I suppose, but even if they took that first one, they could play it again with putting the Bonnie, or using the Bonnie to put it back on top of life. But anyway, they're down to 3 cards in hand, which I think is a good thing for me because sometimes Law gets a little bit out of control by putting a bunch of bodies on the field and then also having a huge hand size. But of course, they kind of have to do that by taking their life, so they're at a low life total. So it's like a fine balance of being like, okay, do I go for the bodies on the board or do I go for their life? I think usually pressuring life is fine. 6 into probably my leader. They might even go 7 into lead, but let's see what they do. They swing the Bonnie blocker. That's smart. They have to bounce something back, so bouncing the Bonnie blocker back to their hand, but getting value out of it beforehand is going to be good. I can't swing the Nico Robin into it. It is what it is. They bounce it back to hand, and then they could play it again. They might. Who knows? Who knows what they'll do? They could also swing really big. They do have a Kid Killer to be able to search. This is a new card from Starter Deck 24, searching for a Supernova off the top 5, and then, yeah, this will likely be just either another searcher for them. What is this Law? Is that this is 7-cost Law? Yeah. 7-cost Law, they'll swing 7 into lead here, and we'll take it. So we know what their play is this next turn. We have a pretty big hand size as well. Pretty good to see. Let's see if we can find a Beer Luffy with this 1-cost event. I think we just swing 5 first and poke them down because they're at such a low life total. It's kind of an awkward thing to just hit them for 5s every turn. We could also play Gum Gum Lightning instead and just get this Cavendish on the field because I was mentioning it earlier. I think that's probably a better play, and then we could follow up with the 7 or the 6-cost Luffy and swing 7 into lead since they took the 5. They could block with this as well. I think they might want to block with this because going down to 1 this early with a 6-cost Luffy on the field is pretty scary. That actually turned out to be a better play. I saw that last second. I was like thinking about searching with the 1-cost event, and then like, wait, we have the lightning. I just talked about it. And we also have a 6-cost rush unit that we can throw down. I'm used to throwing down the 6-cost unit and then not getting the effect off because my opponent is at 4 life, and both of the 6 costs that we have in the deck, you have to be, or your opponent has to be at 5 life for them to go off. Here we're going to counter out for sure. We don't want to go down to 1 against a Hody Jones deck, so I think that's important. They play a Bonnie, and they're going to stun the Luffy. Classic. Gum Gum Lightning is pretty good, too. We could just follow up and kill this Bonnie, and then get the Dawn back, and then swing 5 into lead. Super annoying, once again. Swinging 5 into lead is very frustrating for this deck. They don't want to drop too many cards from hand. They also don't want to take life either, so it's like a weird spot for them. I think they'll probably just counter anyway. They do have the Bonnie they could give me. And then we'll play the Katakuri, and then get to 10 Dawn, have a big blocker, have the 6-cost Luffy to hide behind. The thing that I'm a little bit worried about, though, is if they do have another stun Bonnie, they could bait out my Katakuri block and then stun the Katakuri and then swing the Law into the Luffy. They have a couple of options here, so yeah, something to keep in mind. But I think this turn we're in an okay spot. If we can untap with the 6-cost Luffy, we're in a really good spot. If we are unable to, it's not the end of the world because we have the 1-cost search event and we could find something off the top. We can find anything in the deck and play it for the most part. So if we are able to find a 9-cost rush Luffy, that could be a good option. Beer Luffy's really good too. So yeah, we have options. So I think we'll just have to see what they do. All right, it's just going to be a 5 into lead. This is it's a tough spot. I think I take it. Okay, we get a trigger off of this. I think we grab this. I think we grab the 6-cost Luffy. The reason I think we grab the 6-cost Luffy is because if they go after the one on the field right now or they stun it, we have a backup one to play. And then we can just hit them for a bunch of 7s. We could hit them with our leader. We could hit them with Katakuri. We could hit them with the 6-cost Luffy we just got. And if this 6-cost Luffy that's on the field, which it looks like it's going to stick. I think it's going to stick. We could possibly hit them with 2 of the 6 costs in a single turn and just take them down to 0 and finish the game out. They're trying to push me down to 0. I'm taking it. And I think they push me down to 0 because they have Hody Jones in hand, and that is probably going to be their best play here. They do have a Bonnie blocker. Super annoying. It is what it is. I think we just have to like manually push through here. Swinging 5 with lead is probably better, but I'm going to go ahead and just start off with a 7 and see how they react. See if they take the 7, because this might be a read into their hand. Because usually what you do is you swing with the lowest number first, and then the opponent will then, based off of how you swing, counter out that way. If I swing 5, it's an easy 1K, but if I swing 7 to start off with, it's pretty difficult with 3 cards in hand, because do they take it? Do they counter? They're going to take it. We'd love to see it. We're going to swing 7 again. We're going to swing another 7 and see if they take it again. They could block, but they might want to counter out of this one, unless they don't have counter in hand. I mean, we're in a good spot right here. We're actually in a really good spot, and we have enough Dawn to play the other 6 cost. So they do block. I think we just swing with the Katakuri. Swing 8 and see what they do. They have to give us 2 2Ks, or else we put the rest on the leader and just swing, 14? I don't think they're going to be able to counter out of a 14 at that point, right? So I think it's pretty good. We're in a good spot here. They do give us a 2 2Ks. I think we just swing 5 with lead, take another card out of hand. They're probably going to counter out of this one, because if they don't, they're going to have to take a 13 from the Nico Robin if it goes through, and that's guaranteed lethal. They counter out. Let's swing 5 with the Nico Robin, just poking them down, seeing if they take these hits. If it's a Hody Jones, they have to take it. Assumably, they have Hody Jones in hand based off of how they played. Now we're free to go 7-7, and that's game. They don't have enough counter in hand to be able to get out of 2 7s. They do play the Kid Killer effect to get the 1 open. I mean, that would have been cool if they had room, but it wouldn't have been enough. But yeah, swinging that many times and then poking them down for 5s is really annoying against Law. I think we could have played it better, but I think it turned out all right. Oh, this leader is so much fun. I'm incredibly stoked that we got some good support from starter deck 26. As you can see from the games, we went against a lot of meta decks, and I think that we held our own, if not did very well in all of those. There are times where maybe you don't see your curve efficiently enough. Maybe you don't find your ramp pieces. And if you don't, those games are definitely hard, but because we have so many options for ramp, usually you can hit your ramp no matter what. The matchups which you're going to try to avoid as much as possible, we luckily didn't run into any for this video, but Bonnie's really tough and Red Green Smoker is very tough as well. Anything with 8 cost Kid is going to be a nuisance, and so there's a couple of answers for that we can include in the deck, which I think are pretty good inclusions overall. But that being said, I'm super happy with this deck, and I'm going to try to pilot it for the rest of this meta and probably for a little bit longer as well. I don't have anything super competitive going on. I'm not like in any treasure cups or regionals for the next couple of months, so I have all of the time in the world to have fun with the deck, and as a result, Black Purple Luffy is definitely that deck for me. So let me know in the comments what you guys think about the leader, about the deck list overall. Are you looking forward to playing this leader? Do you think it's a little bit overtuned for what it is? And if you've checked out the Metafy article, thank you so much. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.